Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another first impressions video. In today's first impressions video, we are taking a look at the PWS Mark 216 Mod 1. And before we get this video started, as always, I wanted to give a huge shout out to this video's sponsor, which is Seal One. I have been using Seal One's CLP products long before this partnership with Firearm Freedom. They are by far the largest sponsor of the channel, and I can't thank them enough. They make an awesome product. They have everything from paste, liquid that is non-toxic and bio-based. They also have Sub-Zero Seal One with bow care products and pretty much everything in between. They are just now dropping a brand new cleaning kit with an improved rod, pre-saturated wipes, and a bunch of other things. They truly are an awesome company, and they also are providing you guys a discount code for supporting the channel. You can use that discount code at their checkout screen. It is FF-25. That's FF-25, and that'll get you 25% off of your order. I thought for a while today on how I would do this video, what I would say, and kind of how I would go about it. I don't mean to be so dramatic with the title or anything like that of this video, and I don't want it to be super clickbaity, but at the same time, this is very much going to be a PSA to just the firearms community right now on some really bad ammo and how I got kind of caught up in that with the PWS Mark 216. So first and foremost, what the heck am I talking about? This is a little bit of a side note outside of the review, but I promise I will bring it back into this 216 and kind of talk about my opinions of the rifle. The culprit of today's issues with the 216, I am now 100% positive it was because of this ammunition. This was purchased from Target Sports online. They do have some really good deals. I am not affiliated with them. I just buy my ammo from there, and this was one of those really good deals. It is ZSR 762 by 51 M80 NATO ammunition, apparently. Now, I bought 140 rounds of that for today's video, and then I also had 20 rounds of standard Federal XM80, and then a hodgepodge of really old South African surplus stuff to really get just kind of a wide variety of what this rifle could do. Now, I originally bought this PWS Mark 216. I did pay for it. I have no affiliations with PWS whatsoever, as kind of just a wild project, right? I love the idea of battle rifles. I don't know why. I just do. I just can't get over it. And I really do like AR-10s, but at the end of the day, I find so many issues with DI AR-10s that I just never really found them 100% reliable. It was definitely not something that I would consider like a go-to-war option. I always saw them as kind of just beating themselves to death in a short order. So I kind of told myself if I was going to go with another AR-10, it was going to be a piston gun, and it was going to be a PWS. Now, I've heard nothing but raving reviews about the PWS 216. It was not going to be a distance gun. I wanted this for like 100 yards and in, angry CQB gun. That's really what I wanted it for. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to think that's stupid and blah, blah. I get it. But if you're ever looking at a threat behind soft armor or level 4 plates or whatever, and you really just want to make that threat kind of melt behind those plates, God forbid whether it's an SHTF situation or whatever, you can't really go wrong with some stout 308. And of course, this is a what-if package. This is not something that is immediately staged as like a home defense gun, but I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to go about. So I got the 216, I brought it out with the range with me today, and first magazine out of the gate, I was experiencing kind of some weird failures, right? First of all, the ammunition on gas setting 1 was barely pooping out the back. It was like 4:30, 5 o'clock after reviewing the footage, and that would signify that it's incredibly undergassed. So at first, I thought it was the rifle. I'm like, man, I have not seen, truly not seen a negative review about the 216 anywhere. I can't find one anywhere. So I was kind of dumbfounded. And I started kind of just going over in my mind, okay, what exactly could it be? I thought maybe it's the magazine, because I did have a failure to feed, but it doesn't account for the weird ejection pattern. And also the recoil was very pleasant, right? So I didn't know if that was actually the gun or just some problems or whatever. And then I, again, experienced more issues in the second magazine, but it was better. Keep in mind, this was the Turkish ZSR ammunition, right? And also, that ejection pattern has started to become a little bit sporadic. It was a little weird. I switched to these awesome straight DPMS mags. Thanks to a subscriber, I picked up these old DPMS mags. Shout out to you, Tom. I really appreciate it, because not only do they look great, these magazines were also incredibly reliable. So I wasn't sure if it was the PMag that I was using or these, which were running much better. So I started to kind of address the issues, and then all of a sudden I started to have to mortar the bolt open once or twice, right? So I went to shoot, again, very low recoil, odd ejection pattern. Now, I know personally I've dealt with a lot of heavily overgassed AR-10s, DI guns, and I know sometimes when the brass is just kind of pooping out, it's because it's so violent and the extraction process is so crazy that it actually rips off the rim of the cartridge and just kind of leaves it dangling around in the chamber. Now, that is absolutely not what was happening here. Again, I was paying attention to the ejection pattern and the way that the recoil felt, and that's what kind of created this perfect storm. So, long story short, when I decided to stop shooting, I began looking at the empty casings that were scattered about. And it was happening on the third time I mortared the gun open, and I just was really getting kind of confused as to what was going on, and then I saw this. So with the ZSR ammunition, the head stamping on all of this is 7.62 by 51 ZSR 22. This entire lot is 22. And the worst that we can take a look at first is this guy here. So you can see a massive overpressured bulge on the back of this casing, and it was perfectly formed. Now, I talked to the FF Pocket gunsmith, and in his professional gunsmith opinion, he kind of indicated that this was insanely overpressured ammunition. And you can see here, not as bad. Right, not as bad, but still a very distinct distortion on the back of the casing. And then I started to pick up more around the ground, and you'll notice that, again, it's not bulged, right? This one, I didn't have to mortar it open or anything like that. However, there is a line around the end. Now, I know what many of you are going to be thinking, and that is, Joe, you should have stopped shooting. You should have noticed that first time you mortared the gun. And you would be absolutely correct. I've been shooting for a long time. I'm very familiar with dangerous situations with guns, and I try to avoid them at all costs. And today, this right here could have been a catastrophic situation, without a doubt. And because I was going quick, because all I wanted to do was get a video out, I got my first child coming in about 2 weeks here, and I'm really all over the place trying to get these videos out, trying to rush at the range. And sometimes what happens is you rush too quick and you start not thinking clearly. So I should have stopped when I noticed like a little tiny indentation like this. But in my mind, as being in the review process, I'm like, well, maybe it's not the ammo, maybe it's the gun, maybe the chamber's weird, whatever, let's try 1 or 2 more rounds or whatever. So ultimately, this day, I got 150 rounds downrange through this PWS, and again, I had to mortar it a few times, and I decided to stop shooting once I started to realize just how bad the bulges were in the bottom of the case, and I started to pick them up off the ground. This ammunition, okay, I started to do a quick Google search on this ZSR ammunition, but if you go on Reddit, there are now 7 or 8, I can't remember the guy's channel, I'm sorry, but there are 7 or 8 guns that he recorded that have blown up in the community because of this ammunition. Varying rifles, AR-10s, M1As, whatever, this ammunition was in that gun, and kaboom, it went, and it was totally all over the place. He also pulled the bullets, weighed the powder, and we're seeing all over the place measurements on this stuff. This ammunition, I don't throw around lawsuit lightly, but I'm going to say it with this ammunition. This is despicable. This is absolutely despicable. Not only do we have ridiculous marketing here on the outside, and I fell victim personally being a YouTuber trying to get a bunch of affordably priced ammunition to the price that this was at, which with the Prime membership was like 13 bucks. And in today's world of 2023 and 308, that is a ridiculously good price, and I figured let's give it a shot. This ammunition, again, here's the lot number right there on the box. If you bought any of this, throw it out. I should have stopped the very first time I had to mortar the round out of the gun and called it a day and inspected the case more properly on the ground. If this was still burning and it kind of formed out like that as it was coming out, this could have been a fully ruptured case right at the chamber. It could have blew the upper. There are so many things that could have happened with this, and we're not talking about a little 22. That's a lot of powder in there. That's a no-go. Bringing it back to the review, bringing it back to the PWS, this rifle impressed me so much so when I came home. I'm not going to lie, I was frustrated at it when I was experiencing those problems before I realized the problems that I was having with the actual ammunition itself. And then once I realized those problems with the ammunition, I started to realize that this rifle, we're talking 7 other guns out there, totally blew from this ammunition being overpressured. This rifle potentially took at least, at the very least, after these are only 3 I could find, 3 heavily overpressured cartridges, probably a lot more, and it does not even have a dent. I mean, truly, I have taken apart the rifle immediately upon coming home, field stripped it, cleaned every bit of carbon off of it, took the rail off, inspected everything, and it looks like this rifle is brand new out of box. So if you want to talk about a 308 that is overbuilt, I can't think of a better example than this today. I can't think of one. And quite frankly, this rifle probably saved myself from having a really bad day with this ammunition because of how well this rifle was built. I'm confident in saying that now. Now, again, trying to walk it back to just, okay, all the ammunition aside, what is this rifle feeling like? It feels incredible, incredible when it was shooting properly. And when I had, wherever that mag was of XM80, I had about a mag that functioned flawlessly, of course, and I would imagine it was the XM80. I am going to essentially bring this rifle back out about a week after this video is filmed and aired. You guys are going to see the update video on this PWS with some good quality ammunition to really see what it's made of. But in this first impressions video, I was just running it with iron sights, super lightweight, doing a true first impressions of how you can expect this out of box. The reason why I was able to get my hands on this at a somewhat more reasonable price point of the 216 is because this was actually a blem PWS. Ironically, the blem is that little nick right there, and you can't even see it. So, of course, no issues there. The 216 comes with a BCM stock, a BCM pistol grip out of box, and also a Radian Raptor charging handle for a 308. And you know what, guys? Talking about another product that is absolutely phenomenal, I'll be buying more of these Radians. I really love them, and I love them even more after today. The amount of times I had to mortar this, okay, stepping on the charging handle with my foot and bashing it against the ground and really working on this thing hard. I thought maybe these polymer pieces would have cracked or something like that. This thing held true without issue. So again, PWS is choosing the right parts here. Now, as far as running the rifle suppressed, I did run it suppressed with my Tyon Dragoon suppressor. And again, another product that seriously impressed me today. I put this Dragoon on the end, and that is exactly why I have a Tyon 3-chambered brake on the end and not the PWS brake that comes with it, which is just this massively obnoxious brake. And I threw the Tyon Dragoon on there, and this was the first time ever that I shot an AR-10 and did not need hearing protection, which I thought was incredibly impressive. I put about 2 mags through it, no ringing, no issues, not a ton of port pop, and I was beyond impressed at that. It was an incredibly quiet, suppressed gun, so I'm very, very excited to get this can back on it for the next range day, and although it is a little long, it still is very lightweight, being titanium on the end there, so I didn't have any issues there. The trigger, this is the one thing that I'll say out of box, it is a nickel boron coated mil-spec trigger, and I was experiencing some sticking. Essentially, what would happen, I'd pull the trigger in 2 times, it would not go to reset. It just kind of stick there, and that is commonly out there with brand new factory triggers sometimes. Sometimes you'll start running it at the range, and unfortunately it just needs a little bit of breaking in. So that I'm going to keep you guys updated on. Worst case scenario, I'll throw in another nickel coated mil-spec trigger that I have laying around the house, and I won't experience any further issues on the gun. Adjusting the gas, no problems there. While shooting it suppressed on 3, as the manual indicates, the bolt got a little bit sluggish back and forth, and I needed to back it off to setting 2 in order to run it ideally suppressed with that horrendous ammunition. Running some Midwest flip-up sights on this. Excellent sights. I have absolutely no complaints about those. They are phenomenal on whatever I put it on. And unfortunately, as far as just overall shootability, I love everything about it. When I actually ran it right quickly, it made me smile. I mean, it just how fast and how this thing recoils like a 223. It's scary how quick you can shoot this AR-10 and how maneuverable it is. And that's exactly the role that I wanted it to be in. I know that this is an incredibly accurate 308 match chambering, and that is a special chambering that PWS kind of developed for this rifle, almost like the 223 Wild of the 308 world. I know that this can be an incredibly accurate rifle. PWS does state in their manual that with proper ammunition, this is a 1 MOA gun, and I wouldn't doubt that, and we will put that to the test in the future. I wanted just kind of that scary, bomb-proof, CQB angry 308 gun that you're going to run and just kind of be able to run it with a holographic sight or a red dot or something else up here, a vert grip, a real nasty high power white light, and just kind of have that crazy setup. And that's, again, that's exactly what I'm going for with this PWS, and I think that rifle is definitely going to fit that role. But again, stay tuned for the updated video. That is going to wrap up this first impressions video on the PWS 216 Mod 1. If you have any other questions about this rifle or anything else on the channel, please throw them down below in the comment section, and I absolutely will get back to you. While you're down there, head up to the description, check out those links to support the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.